basics. So everything on the meeting tonight will be recorded, and we'll be posting that up on Career Pilot for those people who are unable to come. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to call you a different name here, so let's correct that straight away. There we go. So Hugh has come along from the RUH, and he's going to talk a little bit about job growth and job progression within the hospitals, within the NHS, but from a hospital perspective. So shall I pass across to you, Hugh? I don't know if you want to share screens or you're just going to talk, whatever.
No, it's all right, I'll just talk.
Okay, go for it.
Hi everybody, I'm Hugh. Nice to be here to see you today. Job growth and job progression within a hospital environment. Now, that could be wider range, and as you might not know, but there's over 350 different career paths within the NHS, so I won't be focusing on all of them. So I think the main ones are the clinical. So for example, if we look at young people leaving school, going to college, they tend to look at healthcare, as in health and social care, which is great. They can come into the trust, they can apply for an HCA role. If they don't have their level 3 in health and social, that isn't a showstopper. We do take staff on as HCAs that haven't had any clinical or care experience. So if they are new to care, we put them through the care certificate, which is about 12 weeks long. With that, they do mandatory training, which will cover 9 of the mandatory units of the 15 of the care certificate, and then the other 6 standards are covered within a workbook, and they're supported all the way through. They also turn up to a 2-day foundation in clinical skills, where we cover some of the basics around patient care and documentation that they need to understand. From that, they can then potentially apply, if they wish to do the level 2 healthcare apprenticeship. To be fair, the 2 years that I've been with the trust, we haven't put anybody through a level 2 in healthcare. They tend to be a bit senior on, find their feet, get the experience, and then they tend to apply for the level 3 healthcare, senior healthcare support worker. It's an 18-month programme. On completion, they're then in the position of the qualifications and experience ready for the next step, which is the training nurse associate, or what we call ANAs, apprenticeship nurse associates in the hospital. Because they'll have the level 3, they've got the maths and English, and they'll have the care certificate. And then from that, they're then on, when successful through applying, because it's all done through NHS jobs, they are shortlisted, interviewed, and then unsuccessful, they're then given a place on the ANA programme, which is a 2-year programme. And then through the 2-year programme, they will develop their skills as a nurse associate, working across the 4 main areas, such as children's, adults, learning disabilities, and mental health, where they get tasters into each, and they have placements across both within the hospital and within the community. We have just managed to get our first cohort onto the nurse degree programme. So what we've selected 8 members of staff through the recruitment process to become, if you like, the grow our own on the next step. And the operation, I suppose, the appetite is we have about 50 other members of staff that would like to have the same opportunity, and we're seeing how we can develop this pathway further. Once they qualify at a qualified nurse, that's them then on to be in a band 5. And then from there, they will then go through the various preceptorships as a band 5 newly qualified nurse. And then from that, they then move in. Once they've got a bit of experience, they can then apply for band 6 and 7 roles, where they can then develop their specialism and their interests further into masters and beyond. So currently we've got a journey to nursing that will take an individual through as a band 2 entrant coming into the trust all the way to band 7, going through the apprenticeship programme and be successful without actually paying a penny. Some of the other pathways that's on offer are around the non-clinical pathways, because during COVID we've ended up having wards closed, especially in the first wave, to deal with potential patients that was COVID affected, and to treat, which we didn't really see. We started seeing the impact in waves 2 in the main. But nevertheless, what we were able to do with wave 1 was we had a number of staff, both clinical and non-clinical, and they were trained to be redeployed elsewhere in the trust. And we saw a real increase in our cleaning staff and also within the portron. We saw volunteers come from all areas of the community and fellowed to volunteer to help with anything that they could. Within the IUH, we've got the volunteer programme that was up and running, because obviously the age of some of our volunteers, they had to go home to Shield. So it became clear that obviously our volunteer workforce needed to be looked at to see how we can entice the younger person into being a volunteer. And through some of the roles that was achieved. What it has done since we're coming out of recovery is made us look at other areas that we're needing. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but we've just recently launched an HCA programme to try and to recruit to gaps within our healthcare assistant roles. And I think we are sitting at over 130 applications currently that's being worked through, and those individuals will be invited to interview because we've got a shortfall, and we've also got shortfalls in other non-clinical areas that once they're, I suppose, in, there's nothing stopping them looking at changing roles. We've had administration staff move from being ward clerks to being HCAs. We've had cleaners move to be HCAs, and we've got one that's actually gone on to do really well, who's doing the nurse associate. So just because they start off on one progression route within the trust, it doesn't mean to say that they can stay there. They can actually move on within the trust, providing they can demonstrate they've got the skills to meet the job description. Then there's nothing stopping them moving across. And I think that's pretty much it. Has anybody got any questions?
So if you want to ask a question, if you want to put your hand up, then I can ask you to put your mic on, or you could put it into chat. Thanks, Hugh, for doing that. Is there any sort of little progression flow chart or something we could share with people about those different kind of roles and how they progress from one to the other, just so we got it clear in our minds when we're talking to our students?
So we have a PDF flow chart. It was designed between my team and the nursing team. I will certainly ask the nursing team. I can't see it being an issue, but let me ask the nursing team if they've got any issues. And it shouldn't be, and I'll send it to you, Sue, for distribution. Yeah, we've also got some little handbooks as well. So if need be, Sue, I can get you a number of little handbooks that potentially you can give to career advisors to give them
Yeah.
the different various routes that's available within the NHS and what's linked to apprenticeships and what's not.
Oh, that would be really useful to sort of have that detail, so that when we're talking to students, we can, give them tell them how the whole progression will work. Louise has got a hand up, so let's pass this across to Louise. You want to stick your mic on?
Yep, got it on. Hi, Hugh.
Hi.
I just wanted to know if there were any opportunities, because I was reading about the NHS long plan, which was all about increasing the number of opportunities for people with learning disabilities and autism, sort of neurodiversity within the overall workforce. And I know about the Project Search scheme, but I was wondering if there were other types of internships, because obviously as careers advisors, we come across lots of young people who may have specific issues, but may have lots of talents, and just wondered how we could direct them, whether there was something specifically, if we come across people particularly who are interested in IT and digital, for example. Are there specific schemes or anything?
No, there isn't, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I think the main reason is that actually, despite the fact that someone may have a disability, our recruitment process, providing they're demonstrating skills, allows for that fair and equal approach. But for example, IT, etc., I know that there is some vacancies within there, and that's one of the areas that we're having hard to recruit to. So I am speaking to the IT department to see what we can do to branch out to more young people. And we're potentially looking at the T level to help with that as well. So one of the progression routes for those young people is to maybe take up the T level and then feed into that supply chain.
Yes, because some people would lack confidence without work experience, and that would be the way they would build it up. So that sounds like a great idea, actually, if the T level matched, what the young person was interested in. Thank you. That's useful.
No, that's fine. I know that we was meant to start a piece of work with a couple of the SEND schools in Bath, but when COVID hit, that's been postponed. The idea is to try and rekindle that again, and then see what we can do as an employer to help to support some of those young people. I had been speaking to Tony, who runs the Project Search, and what we're potentially looking at, if we can get some of our SEND young people to apply for work experience, is potentially then, once they've done their bit of learning and they meets the entry requirements for Project Search, then it means there's more applicants going through that rather than just being specialised to one area. So we're going to see how we can open that up to more schools within the Bath area rather than it being monopolised under one.
That's great.
That's great. Hugh, thank you so much. There's no more questions at the moment, but there might be later in the chat and share. I don't know if you're able to stay around, but just let me know. If you have to go, don't worry. But thank you for doing your bit. That's really good. Okay, so I'm going to pass across now to Yaroslav, who is here. I don't know if you're going to want to share your screen or you're just going to chat. Do you want to introduce yourself? I'll pass over to you and let you do that now.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you to Sue for extending the invitation to the University of the West of England to come and facilitate a talk around the careers and growth in applications in nursing from the university perspective. So my name is, although it's Yaroslav, but that only gets used when my mum refers to me. But my short name is Jarek Turif. I'm a senior lecturer in learning disabilities nursing at the university. I've been working here for the past sort of 6 years, so I have a reasonably good understanding of our admissions processes and how that all works with our students. I have got a short presentation that I'm going to share. Just 1 second. So hopefully that should be coming across on your screen. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in presenters mode. And I'm gonna apologize up front if I drop out for whatever reason. It's because I'm working off a very archaic internet connection. So if I start dropping out, please excuse me. Despite living in the centre of Bristol, I'm working off 4G. So yeah, I've already introduced myself. My email address is at the bottom of the screen. If people have got any questions following this session, please feel free to just drop me a line and I will try and be as responsive as possible. However, in the actual presentation, I'm going to share some links to some further resources that you may want to be using when speaking to young people about career choices, especially in relation to nursing. So it's taken me all of about 3 minutes not to mention COVID, although I'm going to mention COVID. Obviously, nursing and many other healthcare professions have attracted probably the highest amount of media attention since the war times, I would risk saying. Banksy obviously made a mural about it. There has been lots of media attention in relation to nursing and perception of nursing as being heroes and just getting on with things and protecting the public, which rightly or wrongly led to a really significant increase in nursing applications. So as you can see from the press release from Department of Health and Social Care, we have seen over a 30% increase in nursing applications in England standalone. And that has translated into sort of UWE's numbers. I have been looking at our numbers from our business intelligence department, and we have had a significant increase in applications. What's quite interesting when I looked behind the numbers in our applicants is that the demographic of applicants has also changed as part of that. So what we noticed that we do have many more male applicants who are looking at starting a career in nursing. So what we know currently that in terms of the nursing workforce, approximately 10% of the nursing workforce are male or identify as male, and 90% identify as female. But our applicants suggest that there is between 25 to 30% males applying into nursing. We also had a significant increase in applications of people who have got caring responsibilities, be it that they are registered as a carer or they have children living with them, or they're fostering, etc. So that's also quite interesting. And we also have had quite a big number of applicants from people who already have got a previous academic qualifications. Some of that is probably attributed to the fact that the landscape of employability is changing significantly, and a lot of people who might have been working in travel, hospitality, airline industries are perhaps swaying over into nursing positions, and people see themselves as doing those roles. I think also because of the pandemic and what has been happening over the last year and a half, some people have taken on caring roles, or they've become paid carers for part-time jobs and seeking alternative employment. And they actually had a bit of an opportunity to dip their toe and think, oh, do you know what? I'm quite enjoying it. What can I do more to increase my qualifications and have a more sustainable job and more sustainable employment out of this? If at any point people have got any questions, please feel free to just chip in. I think I was quite passionate to jump at the opportunity to talk to the careers advisors because many of you are familiar with the fact that there are four fields of nursing, and I represent probably the least known field of nursing, which is learning disabilities. I think what is quite interesting that since the Nursing and Midwifery Council, which is our governing body, redesigned their educational standards, we are seeing a lot of merging of those 4 fields of practice. What I mean by that is that we may have a learning disability registered nurse working in a acute children's hospital, or we may see a mental health nurse working at a GP practice. So the actual job opportunities and the job diversity of the role is a lot more transferable, and it's a lot more transient. So people seem to be going into settings or environments where in the past they wouldn't traditionally have been either allowed to practice or have been given an opportunity to practice. So we have learning disability nurses working in eating disorder clinics, working in mainstream autism services, working in acute settings, dementia wards, prison services. I've got quite a nice image to demonstrate the variety of the roles in just a few slides. But what I want everyone to leave thinking is that just because it may seem like it's quite a specialist field of practice, you're not necessarily limited to only working with people with learning disabilities, and it's quite a varied and diverse role. I just wanted to basically talk a little bit about the what the 3-year curriculum looks like, what the 3-year program looks like, because that has undergone quite a major redesign following those education standards that have been published in 2018. You will see that from just the headings of the module names, there is a lot of focus on health prevention or health maintenance, rather than concentrating a lot more on the acute skills. So what we are trying to equip our nurses in doing is to basically stop people from going into hospital or ending up in the hospital, and trying to promote health, physical health and mental well-being in every interaction they may be having with members of the public. There is also quite a significant focus on, for example, things like research methodologies or pharmacology and medicines management, especially in the 2nd year. And in the 3rd year, students are given a little bit more freedom about what is it that they see themselves doing. So we have a range of approximately 20 choice modules that students select which one they want to be doing. And they have quite a lot of flexibility around their final projects, so they can select from 4 different types of projects and actually look at a specific area of healthcare. What is necessary to highlight here is that 2,300 hours of study time comes from the theory part, and 2,300 hours comes from the practice part. So we are a 50-50 program, which leads obviously to academic qualifications, but also leads to a vocational qualifications and the registration with the Nursing Midwifery Council. So where you see the light blue shaded areas at the end of each table, the episodes of care is the placement, where students go to a designated area, and they are quite a diverse range of placements. So it's not like the student would just go and be in a hospital setting for their, it says in here that it only goes up to 4, but they actually are given 6 substantial placement periods. And we are wanting to facilitate for a student to have quite a diverse range of experiences and be exposed to as many different types of environments, as many different service user groups as possible, just so that at the end of the 3 years, we are confident and the student is confident that no matter what environment they're going to end up working in, they have the necessary skills and competencies to perform and practice autonomously. As I said, this is just the infographic around sort of learning disability nursing and that range of different professions and different disciplines. We would always tip over and work in sort of many different mental health services and many different mental health settings. But the opportunities are really, really diverse. We have some nurses working in hospice services, I already mentioned prison services, custody settings, working with people who may present with challenging behavior, etc. So, and yeah, acute general hospital community services. So what is quite interesting to realize as well that because it goes without saying, there is a really significant demand on us getting people through the program and getting people through the degree, and our students are always really sought after. So I would think approximately 90% of them have got a vacancy to go into well before they even finish studies. Obviously, that vacancy is subject to them completing the program and passing everything, but many of them actually have to think hard and choose between perhaps two different options, which is in a way quite nice, because they can see what is it that they really want to be doing, how long for, how is that role going to help them in the future, in the long term, and doing a lot of coaching around that actually with the students to see where they see themselves in the sort of short, medium and long term going forward. As I already said, I do have a couple of links that I'm going to put in the chat box if I can, just saving you to on copying all of that. But we do have a virtual open day on the 12th of June that prospective applicants can register for. They can attend different webinars. A lot of it is delivered live with an opportunity to ask questions and answers. And so it's facilitated by academic staff as well as our professional services. So if there is things around funding and bursaries, or if there's things around accommodation, or if there is something around sort of specific well-being questions the students might be having, or entry requirements, there are colleagues from professional services on hand to answer those questions and give students as detailed answer specifically to their circumstances as possible. And I think that was everything I had prepared, because I did want to give 2 minutes just for some questions and answers if people had any. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Yarrick. That was really useful. So Louise has got a hand up, so let's pass across to Louise, and she's got a question.
Always got a question. Hi, Yarrick.
Hi, Louise.
To be looking at that slide you showed about progression, you know, as a learning disability nurse, it looked like there were so many more routes than I ever imagined, and it seems that so many of them are kind of not traditional nursing. You know, they're not people wearing a sort of surgical thing. They're much more around psychology, and I don't know if young people are really kind of aware of that it's changing. It seems to be changing. Is that right?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's, and it's interesting that I think was it yourself or one of the people who are present talked about reading the NHS 10-year plan and how much of a focus is there on public health and stopping people from going into acute services and stopping people from falling ill. So a lot of our role is around health promotion and actually making sure that people have got equal rights to accessing healthcare services. But I think, you know, it's always trying to combat that. You know, if I was to go into a school and talk to young people, you know, who is a nurse? What does a nurse do? Are they they work in a hospital, they give people injections, they give people medicines. They probably somewhere there in accidents and emergencies running around. But okay, a proportion of nurses do end up working in those environments, but the actual role of a nurse is much more diverse, and there is many more opportunities. So I think I always want people to think about that. It's not necessarily a job for life, but it's a profession for life, because the skills that we are trying to equip young people with unlock many other doors in the future.
I'm just wondering, because we have a lot of students taking psychology A-level now. I'd say it's probably, you know, a deluge of people doing that. And then they often sort of think, oh, should they go and do a psychology degree? But it does also look from those kind of roles like the IAPT practitioner and some of those other roles you showed on that screen, that maybe they would be, you know, just as well to follow a kind of more of a practical route like the mental health nursing or learning disability nursing. Yeah,
it's interesting for you to observe that, because we've actually I think, you know, and I'm not speaking out of terms because it's a fact that many of our psychology graduates, even at UE, do struggle for employment opportunities following that. I think if people don't necessarily have a clear path of where they see themselves practicing, and it's quite difficult to also gain experience. So there is a lot of, you know, forensic psychology vacancies or sort of specialist psychology services where you have to be operating at sort of like consultant level. And, you know, you're not going to get there unless you have like a decade of experience. So, and then we have been sort of trying to attract perhaps those graduates to come in the second year and do 2 years of nursing, because employability in our profession is guaranteed. But so much of our frontline job is dependent on having interpersonal skills, understanding people, understanding their behavior, motivational interviewing, and all those sort of skills that are necessary. That you wouldn't necessarily think they are like essentially nursing skills, but they are essentially learning disability nursing skills.
Brilliant.
Thank you. That's really useful.
That's really useful.
Do carry on typing in chat if you've got a question. I'm going to pass across to Louise now, because Louise has very kindly put a kind of, well, she's got a handout that you can have as well about opportunities that are related to the NHS. So I'll pass across to you, Louise.
Have you already
share your screen?
How do I get control? I've forgotten how to
Can you just share your screen at the top there?
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yep.
I'll get there in the end. Why can't I see it? Can't see it. So hang on, let me just take it over to my other screen. For some reason I can't see it there. Okay, right, so can I show it now? Yep, here we go. Right, sorry about this. Right. I was too busy and I was too interested in what Jarek had to say. I wasn't ready for my stuff. Okay, right, so let me, can you see my screen? Are you going to say no now, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, no, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, you guys know probably much more than I do about this, because although I'm doing careers guidance, I'm also doing hundreds of other different things, and sometimes I struggle to, like you probably do, to stay up to date with what schemes are available to help young people who are interested in getting into medical and health careers. So I'm going to go through these things, but it would be great if you've got other suggestions. If at the end of this we're going to have a bit of a chat and share, if you can tell us some about, you know, some of these other opportunities you might know about, or also if you've used any of these websites that I'm going to talk about, and you know what your experience was, or what the young people's experience was of using them. So I was looking at what was out there for young people who wanted to get some work experience or volunteering related to sort of medical health kind of careers. Sadly, I only recently found out about medical mentors, which I'm sure that most of you probably know about. If you haven't heard of medical mentors, then they offer sort of virtual work experience, whole bunch of things, conferences. They even offer medical societies, so you can join up and meet with other people who want to go into medical work, but not just for medical, but for veterinary and dentistry and the allied health professions as well. So in a time of COVID, when it's been hard to get into hospitals, as Hugh said, you know, not able to offer those sorts of opportunities, then the fact that you can do a virtual work experience for free with medical mentors is pretty special. If you do the volunteer, if you do the work experience, which I think is like Saturdays, it's like a whole Saturday, and it's actually live. So they actually set up within an actual hospital in Birmingham and actually bring in real patients and things. So it gives you that sort of real experience. And I think then they ask you questions, and then you have to do a reflection. So they make you work, which is good, and show you sort of your commitment. But what was great as well is if you do that, you then get free access to a conference all about getting into medical. So then all of these people who are working on this website, it's all non-profit making, and they're all volunteers who work in the industry. So so they're not actually doing it. Some of these sites I found are quite money making orientated, or they're quite expensive for this sorts of things. So it's actually an affordable way of doing the training, and then you can get free access to these conferences, which are going to help you look at how to get into medicine, for example, or allied health professionals, and actually help you with everything from sort of kind of identifying courses, understanding about UCAT and BMAT and all the tests that you might need to take, and also about sort of writing a personal statement. So I thought I was blown away actually by how good that website is. So I have actually got a handout for you that I'm going to send you after today's session. So it's got links to all of these sites here. The other one that I wanted to mention was Observer GP, which you may have seen, and obviously a lot of young people struggling to get the work experience. Doctors have recently put together this website where you can actually go and do your work experience in Observer GP, which I thought was really good, as is. And that was kind of more GP style, but you can also get some experience by going onto the Brighton and Sussex Medical School, and they've set up virtual work experience modules. Yes, you can see a GP, but you can also see different types of medicine. So you can see surgery, elderly medicine, accident and emergency medicine, all these different kind of elements. And you can also see what it's like to be a junior doctor, to be a consultant. So it's working more in a hospital environment as well as a GP. So during lockdown, some of these are fantastic resources, and obviously, you know, they make it much more equal really, because our widening participation students that a lot of us work with, you know, they'll have equal access to these. The other website that I came across that I liked was Aspiring Medics, which I think has been around a lot longer, and that had some examples of personal statements that I thought were pretty good, especially when someone's a bit stuck and they don't have a clue where to start, and also some a lot of there was a Future Learn course all about the NHS, and they had lots of information, sort of like current information, you know, sort of what's new around antibiotics, what's new around, so to help students kind of with current issues, but also discussing sort of medical ethics, which is really important when you're thinking about those things. So some useful websites there. Do have a look on the handout I'm going to send you, and if you've got any others, has anyone got any other medical or sort of health sort of websites they use to help students get work experience? Anything I haven't mentioned? Okay. Did everyone know about the Medical Mentors one? Probably, that's why you're not saying anything. Okay. Do feel free to say something. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was kind of volunteering, because I was thinking, well, if you can't, you know, if you've done your virtual work experience, things are starting to open up maybe now. We're coming out of COVID, so positively. Where can you get some sort of volunteering experience if you're interested in getting into health professions? So this is kind of focused on local opportunities. So I was looking earlier, there's something called the Milestones Trust in Bristol, which is a charity which employs support workers and care staffers and nurses, and they offer volunteering and work experience. So that could be something that maybe if you're working with health and social care students at college or sixth form students, you might encourage them to have a look at that. Obviously, we've all heard about people volunteering in the NHS, and you can get involved through being a responder, but also through in Baines, we've got something called the Compassionate Community, which you can, I know that Sue, was it that I can't remember, Sue was involved in something like that. I did some training recently around Compassionate Community. So yeah, do have a look on their sites. The NHS jobs actually advertise volunteering roles, which I didn't realise until today. And there's hundreds of them in a whole range of different areas. So if somebody couldn't get, you know, maybe they want to have a gap year or do something different, maybe they consider actually volunteering in a role. Other kinds of opportunities, which are obviously going to make you stand out on your personal statement, would be to apply for sort of other opportunities, say, for example, with charities or voluntary organisations like AIDS UK, And there's a website called Do It, which has been it looks like it's been upgraded recently. It's sort of much cooler, but that's a national website, and you can actually search for volunteering opportunities on there, as you can with Time Bank. Now, I was talking about some websites charging you money for things. Well, the Medic portal offers you the opportunity to do sort of like study, a bit like the medical mentors, but also charges you £50 for the privilege of going online and talking to some old people in an elderly people's home. So I'm not sure if it's worth doing that. If you can get that for free from another route, really. But I thought they were just cashing in, to be honest with you. But obviously, if they do benefit from it, then it's obviously useful. And then I found a couple of other charities which are around connecting older and younger people together and trying to boost employability skills. So there's one called Kissing It Better that I hadn't actually heard of until today. So just a few there. I mean, there's obviously lots of local things that young people can get involved in, but obviously all experience is going to be useful in terms of working with people and having experiences that you can reflect on, that you could use in a personal statement or a job application. But so that's what I've kind of discovered. Has anyone got any other suggestions?
So Laura's just posted something up in the chat, which is the Armitage Foundation. So an interesting foundation that helps inspire young people to go into medicine. Programs aimed at year 8 and 9. And there was also in chat, Andy was asking a question about whether UE have increased their numbers in order to cope with the demand. And Yarrick was saying that they've gone up about 15%, but they are limited by placements because obviously they have to have placements in order to train the nurses. That's what we've got at the moment. We can come back to you in a minute, Louise. So thank you so much for that. As always, Louise has put a really good list together. One thing I just wanted to share with you is a new resource that we will be releasing on Career Pilot quite soon. And then we'll open it up for chat and share. So hopefully you can see my screen. So you will probably seen before, we've had our hot jobs posters. They've been available as social media formats. You can put them out as like newsletters. We currently have 40 of these in 4 sets of 10. But we've just developed an NHS pack. So in this pack, there are 12 posters related to NHS jobs. Some of the, things like mental health nursing that they might know a bit about, but some unusual jobs that they might not have thought about before. So there are 12 posters in the hot job style, but we've gone a stage further with these where we've got 20-minute activities for 6 of them. So we just thought we'd try that out. So this would be like a tutor delivering this. You'd only have a few things to do. One, let's look at the poster, get the headlines. Then there's a really good video about that particular job. Then look at a job profile so you get ideas about ways into that particular job, and then a suggested activity. And there's different formats on the 6 different activities. So I just wanted you to know that they will be available soon for use in tutor time, all tied in with the NHS. So you could do a little NHS focus. And the jobs are, like I say, a range of things they might not have heard about, but things that are quite unusual. Okay, so let's pass across and see if anybody's got anything they want to put into that. I can see that Hugh's put something in. Medical schools are accepting volunteering roles to support applications in like that there's not a lot of work experience being offered currently. Yeah, that's interesting. Anybody got any other questions they want to ask in our chat and share? Okay, well, can I give a big thank you to Eric and Hugh and Louise for doing their inputs. And do feel free, Hugh and Eric, to leave if you want to, but you're very welcome to stay. We're going to be talking about well-being in a minute and talking about some things on Career Pilot. No last minute chat requests or hands up. So I think we'll come to the end of that session and then we'll talk about the well-being. So I'm just going to briefly stop this recording.